guys, welcome to Carol's Universe Tarot Readings from the Heart, and today's reading is for the zodiac sign of Aries. Aries, this is your monthly forecast for February 2015. Okay, so Aries, we've got a situation here with these cards that I think... Where can I start here with you guys? As you know, with all my readings that I do on a month-by-month basis, I always use this situation that's coming through for me from the cards. But as I always say, you can apply this to any area of your life that you feel fits. But what's coming through for me with the cards will apply to some people, and to some people it might apply in another area or not at all. That's why we call it a general reading, okay? The situation I'm getting here is that for some of you guys, there was a situation or an environment or something that you were at first quite happy with, that you found potentially quite fulfilling, potentially quite pleasurable, potentially a really good idea, okay? But for some reason you've turned. For some reason, for some of you guys, you may have just decided it wasn't for you. So you've kind of turned your back on it. And I'll show you why I say this, guys. The first two cards, funnily enough, are the Nine of Cups and the Eight of Cups side by side. Now, the Nine of Cups is one of those cards where it's usually known as the wish fulfillment card. So it could have been a situation where there was something that you wanted, whether this was a partner, whether this, you know, a man, a girl, whether it was a particular job, whatever it was something potentially that some of you guys wanted and you got it, okay? You got it, or you were near to getting it. And it was something potentially, I think, for a time that fulfilled you. But I'm seeing here in February, or even as I always say, potentially before, because a lot of the comments that I receive from people are telling me that a situation has already occurred and that this reading is really sort of giving them guidance on where they sort of need to go next with a particular situation. So for February, potentially this could be occurring, or it could have already occurred for some of you guys. But it's a situation where you felt potentially quite happy with the situation. This card can also denote sensual pleasure. So maybe it was kind of some relationship some of you guys were in that seemed a really good idea at first, that kind of fulfilled you on a very sexual level. Or it could simply be, you know, just emotionally you were fulfilled with something. And this, as I say, can apply to any area of your life. But for some reason, that initial happiness, that initial kind of satisfaction with something that you wanted and that you got has turned to being something that you've abandoned potentially. The Eight of Cups is a card that really sort of talks about kind of abandoning something. It's your choice. You've kind of decided that you're going to be walking away from it. It didn't suit you. It potentially made you feel slightly imbalanced. It was something that didn't kind of sit well with your energy. So I think here in February, potentially going on before, there's a situation that's arisen where initially it felt good, but then suddenly for some reason you've just felt like it didn't suit me, or I didn't want it, or it didn't make me feel the initial happiness that I went into. It's almost like there's a sense of disappointment. It's almost like something came around and it was almost like really too good to be true. It looked really good. It had all the criteria to be really good, but for some reason there's an element of disappointment. This man I'm looking at, it's almost like he's making a quick exit from it. It's almost like he's quickly walking away from something. And I feel that it's this situation here within the Nine of Cups that some of you guys potentially are walking away from in February, or you've already done it. We then have the Eight of Wands and the Ten of Wands. It's so funny how some of these cards are side by side and they're the same suit. The Eight of Wands is one of those cards where we're looking at swift action. It's like a really swift energy. These wands are being chucked so quickly, okay? And I feel that this card could either typify that it was something that you guys kind of ran into. You kind of sort of decided, I am kind of getting out of here quick. Or it could have been a situation that you went into quickly and it caused you some stress with the Ten of Wands, okay? So that's hence why you walked away with it with the Eight of Cups. Or it could be that potentially for some of you guys, that you've walked out of this situation fairly quickly, or even if it's not quickly, there's been some swift action. It's almost like you kind of just made your mind up and you're like, no, this isn't suiting me, and you've just kind of walked and gone. And then with that has sort of come the realisation that you're feeling kind of potentially stressed around this. You're kind of, it's almost like you're on your own with this. It's almost like you kind of like, I've just had to get out of there quick. I've had to get out of this situation quick, and I've made my decision, and yeah, I'm just going to go. But with that has come this sense of feeling slightly burdened by your decision, slightly kind of like you've got the world on your shoulders in a way. But you're still staying determined to do it. You're still staying determined that you don't want that anymore. Whatever this situation is, you don't want it anymore. You're not particularly interested in having it in your life anymore. And you've decided to walk away from it. This could also be a case of that because you've walked away from something, there's some swift energy behind you. Something else is coming, you know, right hot on your heels. But again, there's this stress around it. There's this kind of fear around it. There's this kind of feeling like, did I make the right choice? Or, you know, I'm feeling kind of on my own here, or I'm feeling slightly uncomfortable or slightly unhappy about something that I've done. But you're determined to kind of move ahead because you don't want this situation here anymore, because you've walked away from it. Something that initially looked good isn't so good anymore. It's either that you swiftly walked away from it, or something is swiftly on your heels. But again, the major thing for me in these two cards is that whatever it is some of you guys are feeling slightly burdened around it. But you're still determined to move ahead. We then have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse and the Star card, okay? So it could be, along with this 10 of Wands, that you guys are feeling slightly negative over this thing that's come in. Over this thing that's happened. The Wheel of Fortune, when it's upright, really talks about kind of fated stuff. So unexpected stuff coming in for the better. So, you know, a good run of luck potentially. It usually signifies something temporary because change is always changing, isn't it? Things are always changing. The Wheel of Fortune is always turning. So the Wheel of Fortune really is one of those cards that kind of signifies, you know, a temporary change in luck more than anything else. But when it's in the reversed position, it's really a card about kind of a negative situation that's going on. Something that you feel potentially that you don't have any control over. And that you really, it's just a case of sort of sitting it out, waiting it out. Until it passes and until the Wheel of Fortune turns again. And I just feel that with the 10 of Wands, some of you guys are feeling kind of like in this negative mode. With this Wheel of Fortune in reverse, you're kind of feeling like in a little bit of a funk about whatever this situation is. Or it could be that because you've walked away from something and you've felt a sense of disappointment about it, there are other things that are coming in, but they're not kind of satisfying you, you know, and you're feeling negative about this. But this downturn of kind of fortune, this downturn of kind of feeling maybe unlucky or maybe feeling negative about whatever this situation is won't last long, because we have the Star card right next to the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And the Star card is all about having faith and having hope. And you know, and being optimistic. And I think what this card is saying is you need to maintain optimism, okay? You need to kind of try and maintain a positive kind of mindset, because the more that you feel negative and the more that you kind of feel a little bit downtrodden about whatever the situation is, or whatever is the situation you are in now, as a kind of offshoot of walking away from whatever it was that appeared to be so promising at first, the more that you stay in that kind of mindset, the more negativity that you bring in. So really this Star card is saying that you need through February to kind of like keep optimistic and know that the universe is working with you, know that God is working with you, know that the angel's working with you. You have the Star here. It's guiding you. It's keeping you safe. You know, it's shining a light on you. Okay? You need to keep those positive vibes going. So I feel that this won't last long, this kind of whatever this funk some of you guys might be in, you know, whatever this negative vibe some of you guys might be in. I don't think it will last long because you've got the Star card next to it, and this shows, you know, an upturn in situations really. Okay, it does show good stuff coming in, good opportunities coming in, but really this is definitely reliant on your kind of optimism and your faith. You need to keep the faith because things are going to turn out okay. And the final two cards, Aries, that we have for your reading for February is the 7 of Cups and the Fool card. Both of these cards talk about choices. Okay, the Seven of Cups is one of those cards. It's twofold really. On the one hand, you're looking at a guy here who kind of has lots of choices. He doesn't know what to choose. They're all on a cloud, okay? So they're all kind of in his brain. On the other hand, this card talks about building castles in the sky and building unrealistic aims, you know, and not being realistic about stuff. And really what this card is saying is that you do have choices, okay? But you need to be realistic about them. It's saying that there may be some tempting offers that come in for you, but you need to be realistic about it. You need to go with your gut instincts, okay? You need to not create castles in the sky, Aries, okay? You need to be down to earth and be realistic, okay? So whatever it is that you've walked away from and whatever it is that's potentially caused a little bit of difficulty, I'm just looking at the cards, sorry, because when I'm looking at the cards, I get all sorts of ideas coming into my head, all sorts of ideas. It's almost like with the Eight of Wands that something was chasing you, yeah? And you caught them. And, you know, you're carrying it, you know? It's almost like something's caught up with you. And it's stressing you out, you know? And I'm thinking that with the Nine of Cups and the Eight of Cups, you know, whatever this situation that appeared good at first, that is not so good, and that led to potentially some disappointment for you guys. You know, the Eight of Wands, to my mind, could signify this kind of delayed, how can I say? This kind of delayed reaction has caught up with you, okay? So it's something that potentially you felt it might have been something that was a surprise to some of you guys, you know, which has led to the disappointment. And maybe the shock has caught up with you in the Eight of Wands. And maybe you've just caught that shock now and it's led to all this stress and feeling kind of like a little bit of negativity going on there. And you're carrying that negativity, you're carrying that stress, you're carrying that burden with the Ten of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. But the Star card is saying to have hope and have faith because, you know, things are going to work out okay. This card is saying the Seven of Cups is that, you know, we all have dreams and there is potential in them, okay? But it's about being realistic and it's about making the right choices for you. You know, don't just tap into any choice because you just want to do that, you know. Do the right thing. Think about it logically. Think about it practically. How can it serve you best in a practical way? In a more realistic way. And the Fool card, again, talks about making a choice and opportunity coming in for you guys, potentially. And the Fool card, whereas the Fool card always... This card is very much based on... this person isn't an actual fool. They could be a fool because they've got a dog running behind them, if you can see in the picture, and it's telling them to watch the cliff because they're about to fall off it. So in one way, I suppose this card could be saying, you know what, you need to kind of, along with the... And it's funny that we have the Seven of Cups next to it because this guy has his head in the clouds. So again, these two cards could be saying to you guys, you need to kind of like keep it on a realistic vibe here, you know, get your head out of the clouds about stuff. Okay? Be realistic with your aims. Be realistic with whatever it is that you want to achieve. It's almost like both people are looking up to the sky. The Fool in the Fool card and the guy in the Seven of Cups, but the dog is barking at the both of you almost, saying you need to kind of come down to earth a bit, a little bit, draw back a bit. You know, the choices are there, but you know, I mean, you don't need to. Maybe at the beginning here with the Nine of Cups, you went into it something that you didn't think about. You didn't think about it properly. You didn't investigate it and you didn't explore it. And it's something that you've felt disappointed with, you know, and it's led to this kind of the stress and the shock catching up with some of you guys. which has led to the disappointment and feeling kind of like a little bit of a negative vibe. And maybe this dark here is saying, which is the universe saying, you know, next time that you go into a choice, think before you leap, you know, think before you leap. Think about the choices on a practical level. Don't just go into something because it looks shiny. These look shiny. These 7 cups look shiny. Don't just choose something because it looks too good to be true, because it looks amazing at first. Think about it. Don't walk over the cliff. Look where you're going, you know. So maybe these 2 cards are the warning cards, you know. They're saying, you know, think before you leap next time. Okay? Think about your choices. Think about things in a more honest, realistic way. Don't just kind of think, I'm just going to go for that because it looked good, because you could end up feeling the same way you did with the 9 of Cups and the 8 of Cups, walking away from something because you didn't kind of look at the stuff properly. So whether that be a job, you didn't look at the fine print properly, you just went and you did it because the money looked good and the, you know, the place looked good, but you didn't really look into the job properly, you didn't really listen properly. Or whether that be a relationship, you got involved with something, with someone that potentially promised you the earth, but only to find that they couldn't deliver on that, you know. And the shocks caught up with you on this, between the 8 of Wands and the 10 of Wands, you know. Something that swiftly came in that kind of like just caught you off balance. The key card in this for me is have hope, have faith, have hope. But again, the Star is guiding you. I feel that all these cards are kind of meshing in together. The Star, the Fool, the 7 of Cups. The Star is providing the light. The Star is sending the messenger. The messenger is the dog. The dog is saying, think before you leap, fool. You know? Though this person isn't a fool, sorry. I didn't mean to say it like that. But he's saying, think before you leap, yeah? Think about your choices. Think realistically. Don't just jump into stuff. So whatever new opportunities that come in for you guys, potentially in February, that are going to enable you to kind of get out of this funk that some of you guys might potentially still be in, or going to be in, then it's really saying, you know, think before you leap. Think about the choices correctly. Think about them in a more practical manner. Think how they can best serve you, rather than just going for something that looks really good and turns out not to be what you expected. That is a really good reading, Aries. Again, if any of this resonates with any of you guys, you got to let me know. You got to, you know, send me a comment, because I've just found this a really interesting reading. Really interesting reading. And how it pans out. It could be with the last 2 cups that the choice that you make, you know, you need not to be afraid of it, because the Fool isn't afraid. So it could be twofold. It could either be that you're being told to think before you leap, because you don't want to be back at the 9 of Cups and the 8 of Cups. Or that, you know, whatever fear this is caused between potentially the 8 of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, you need to kind of try and get over that. And with the 7 of Cups and the Fool card, it's saying you need to go for a choice, yeah? But you need to be fearless, and you need to kind of explore those opportunities that are coming in. So it could be anyway. But what I always say, I always leave my kind of readings open-ended, Aries, because I always say to myself, you know what? There are no hard and fast rules to the tarot. These cards can apply to you in any way that you see fit, in anything that benefits you, in anything. You know, it could be that for some of you guys there are opportunities coming in at the moment for you. And you have, you know, been burnt in something before, and you're thinking to yourself, I really want to go for that one, but I'm afraid that it's going to be a repeat of something else. And some of you may go for it because you might think, you know, forget it, I'm not going to kind of be a victim to this. But then for some of you guys, it might be, you know, I'm going to take a bit more time to think about this because I'm going to be a bit more cautious now. So it could go either way. Just drop me a line and let me know in the comments. But yeah, really interesting reading for Aries, and not bad at all. It just simply means, as far as I'm concerned with this reading, that you need to think before you leap for some of you guys. If some of you guys have gone into something without thinking about it, and it's unexpectedly brought in stuff that's made you feel very disappointed and made you feel a little bit low, then perhaps that if something comes up again for you guys, or whatever the situation might be, you need to kind of like examine it a little bit more closely, rather than just sort of going in for it because it looks nice and shiny. Okay, so Aries, that's your reading for the month of February 2015. I'd like to say thank you very, very much for joining me, and I'll see you on your next reading, which will be your March 2015 reading.